Mother's Day. The following play is a humorous portrayal of the status of the mother in a family. Let's read on to see how Mrs. Pearson's family reacts when she tries to stand up for her own rights. Characters: Mrs. Anne Pearson, which is played by Radhika, George Pearson, played by Santosh, Doris Pearson, played by Ananya, Cyril Pearson, played by Maulik, and Mrs. Fitzgerald, played by Gurkeet. Tisha and Archit are the narrators. The action takes place in the living room of the Pearsons' house in a London suburb. Time: the present. Scene: the living room of the Pearson family. Afternoon. It is a comfortably finished, much lived in room in a small suburban semi detached villa. If necessary, only one door need to be used. But it is better with two: one up left leading to the front door and the stairs, and the other in the right wall leading to the kitchen and the back door. There can be a muslin covered window in the left wall and possibly one in the right wall too. The fireplace is assumed to be in the fourth wall. There's a settee up right, an armchair down left, and one down right. A small table with two chairs on either side of it stands at the center. When the curtain rises, it is an afternoon early in autumn, and the stage can be well lit. Mrs. Pearson at right and Mrs. Fitzgerald at left are sitting opposite each other at the small table, on which are two teacups and saucers, and the cards with which Mrs. Fitzgerald has been telling Mrs. Pearson's fortune. Mrs. Pearson is a pleasant but worried looking woman in her 40s. Mrs. Fitzgerald is older, heavier, and a strong and sinister personality. She is smoking. It is very important that these two should have sharply contrasting voices. Mrs. Pearson speaking in a light, flurried sort of tone, with a touch of suburban cockney perhaps, and Mrs. Fitzgerald with a deep voice, rather Irish perhaps.
And that's all I can tell you, Mrs. Pearson. Could be a good fortune, could be a bad one. All depends on yourself now. Make up your mind, and there it is.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'm such obliged. I'm sure it's wonderful having a real fortune teller next door. Did you learn that out east too?
I did. 12 years I had of it, with my old man rising to the lieutenant quartermaster. He learned a lot, and I learned a lot more. But will you make up your mind now, Mrs. Pearson, dear? Put your foot down, once and for all, and be the mistress of your own house and the boss of your own family.
That's easier
Mrs.
said than done. Besides, I'm so fond of them if they are so thoughtless and selfish. They don't mean to be.
Maybe, maybe not, but it'd be better for them if they learned to treat you properly.
Yes, I suppose it would.
No doubt about it at all. Who's the better for being spoiled? The grown man, lad, or girl? Nobody. You think it does them good when you run after them all the time, take their orders, as if you were the servant in the house, stay at home every night while they go out enjoying themselves. Never in your whole life. It's the ruin of them as well as you. Husbands, sons, daughters should be taking notices of wives and mothers, not giving them orders and treating them like dirt. And don't tell me you don't know what I mean, for I know more than I have told you.
I keep dropping hints, so.
It's more than hint. What a family needs, Mrs. Pearson.
I suppose it is, but I do hate any unpleasantness. And it's so hard to know where to start. I keep making up my mind to have it out with them, but somehow I don't know how to begin. Oh, good gracious, look at the time. Nothing ready, and they'll be home any minute and probably in a hurry and to go out again.
Let him wait or look at themselves for once. This is where your foot goes down. Start now.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, I know mean well. In fact, I agree with you, but I just can't. And it's no use you trying to make me. If I promised you I'd really have it out with them, I know I wouldn't be able to keep my promise.
Then let me do it.
Oh no, thank you very much, Mrs. Fitzgerald, but that wouldn't do at all. It couldn't possibly be somebody else. They'd resent it at once and wouldn't listen. And really, I couldn't blame them. I know I ought to do it, but you see how it is.
You haven't got the idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you asked me to let you do it.
I did, but not as me, as you.
But I don't understand. You couldn't be me.
We change places. You look like me, I look like you.
But that's impossible.
How do you know? Ever tried it?
No, like, of course not.
I have. Not for some time, but it still ought to work. Won't last long, but long enough for what we want to do. Learned it out east, of course, where they're up to all these tricks. Give me your hands, dear.
Well, I don't know. Is it right?
It's your only chance. Give me your hands and keep quiet a minute. Just don't think about anything. Now look at me. Ashadadam, ashadalam, ashadalam dambra.
This little scene should be acted very carefully. We are to assume that the personalities change bodies. After the spell has been spoken, both women, still grasping hands, go lax, as if the life were out of them. Then both come to life, but with the personality of the other. Each must try to adopt the voice and mannerisms of the other. So now Mrs. Pearson is bold and dominating, and Mrs. Fitzgerald is nervous and fluttering.
Uh, See what I mean there? Here, you don't want that.
Oh, it's happened.
Of course, it's happened. Very neat. Don't know I had it in me.
But whatever shall I do, Mrs. Pierce, Mrs. Fitzgerald? George and the children can't see me like this.
They aren't going to. That's the point. They have to deal with me. Only they won't know it.
But but what if we can't change back? It'd be terrible.
Here, steady, Mrs. Pearson. If you had to live my life, it wouldn't be so bad. You'd have more fun as me than you've had as you.
Yes, but I don't want to be anybody else.
Now stop worrying. It's easier changing back. I can do it anytime we want.
Well, do it now.
Not likely. I've got to deal with your family first. That's the idea, isn't it? Didn't know how to begin with them, you said. Well, I'll show you.
But what am I going to do?
Go into my house for a bit. There's nobody there. Then pop back and see how we're doing. You ought to enjoy it. Better get it off now before one of them comes.
Yes, I suppose that best. You sure it'll be all right?
It'll be wonderful. Now off you go, dear.
Mrs. Fitzgerald crosses and hurries out through the door right. Left to herself, Mrs. Pearson smokes away, lighting another cigarette, and begins laying out the cards for patience on the table. After a few moments, Doris Pearson comes bursting in left. She is a pretty girl in her early 20s who would be pleasant enough if she had not been spoiled.
Mom, you'll have to iron my yellow silk. I must wear it tonight. What are you
What do you
doing?
Mrs. Pearson now uses her ordinary voice, but her manner is not fluttering and apologetic, but cool and incisive.
What do you think I'm doing? Whitewashing the ceiling?
But you're smoking.
That's right, dear. No law against it, is there?
But I thought you didn't smoke.
Then you thought wrong.
Are we having tea in the kitchen?
Have it where you like, dear.
Do you mean it isn't ready?
Yours isn't. I've had all I want. Might go out later and get a square meal at the Cladon.
Who might?
I might. What do you think?
Mom, what's the matter with you?
Don't be silly.
It's not me that's being silly. And I must say, it's a bit much when I've been working hard all day and you can't even bother to get my tea ready. Did you hear that I said about my yellow silk?
No, don't you like it now? I never did.
Of course I like it, and I'm going to wear it tonight. So I want it ironed.
Want it ironed? What do you think that's going to do? Iron itself?
No, you're going to iron it for me. You always do.
Well, this time I
Just
don't.
1 minute, children. It is ironed. It is not ironed. That R is not pronounced. It's ironed. Okay? Continue, please. Ironed.
Well, this time I don't. And don't talk rubbish to me about working hard. I have a good idea how much you do, Doris Pearson. I put in twice the hours you do and get no wages nor thanks for it. Why are you going to wear your yellow silk? Where are you going?
Out with Charlie Spence.
Why?
Why? What's the matter with you? Why shouldn't I go out with Charlie Spence if he asks me and I want to? Any objections? Go on. You might as well tell me.
Can't you find anybody better? I wouldn't be seen dead with Charlie Spence, buck teeth and half-witted.
He isn't.
When I was your age, I'd have found somebody better than Charlie Spence or given myself up as a bad job.
Just tell me what is buck teeth?
I mean,
This. Buck
Buck
teeth
teeth.
and less brains. So she's making fun of Doris's boyfriend. Imagine the mother's making fun of the boyfriend. She says he's got buck teeth and he's not intelligent. He's dumb-witted, half-witted. Go on. Very good. 12C, 11C, you have truly taken my heart away by doing so much of preparation with the teacups, the cigarette, the narration. Wonderful. You all will get a prize from for this group prize. Amazon rocks. Chalo.
Doris runs out left. Mrs. Pearson chuckles and begins putting the cards together. After a moment, Cyril Pearson enters left. He is the masculine counterpart of Doris.
Hey mom, are you ready?
No,
Why not?
I couldn't bother.
Feeling off color or something?
Never felt better in my life.
What's the idea then?
Just to change.
Let's snap out of the mouth and get cracking. Haven't you too much time?
Cyril is about to go when Mrs. Pearson's voice checks him.
I have plenty of time.
Yes, but I haven't. Got a busy night tonight. I'm the narrator.
Moving left to the door.
Did you put something out?
Can't remember, but I doubt it.
Now look, when I asked you this morning, you promised. You said you have to look through him first in case there was any mending.
Yes, well, now I've decided I don't like mending.
That's a nice way to talk. What would happen if you talked like that?
You all do talk like that. If there's something at home you don't want to do, you don't do it. If it's something at your work, you get the union to bar it. Now, all that's happened is that I've joined the movement.
I don't get this, mom. What's going on?
Changes.
Doris enters left. She is in the process of dressing and is now wearing a wrap. She looks pale and red-eyed.
You look terrible. I wouldn't wear that face even for Charlie Spence.
Oh, shut up about Charlie Spence. And anyhow, I'm not ready yet. Just dressing. And if I do look terrible, it's your fault. You made me cry.
Why? What did she do?
Never you mind.
Have we any stout left? I can't remember.
Bottle or two, I think. But you don't want to start now?
I do.
What for?
To drink, you clot.
Mrs. Pearson exits right. Instantly, Cyril and Doris are in a huddle, close together at left center, rapidly whispering.
Has she been like that with you too?
Yes, no. Too ready. Couldn't care less.
Well, I'm glad it's both of us. I thought I'd done something wrong.
So did I, but it's her, of course.
She was smoking and playing cards when I came in. I couldn't believe my eyes.
I asked her if she was feeling off colors, and she said she wasn't.
Well, she's suddenly all different. And that's what made me cry. It wasn't that she wasn't what she said, but the way she said it and the way she
I haven't
looked.
noticed that. She looks just same to me.
She doesn't to me. Do you think she could have hit her head with something, and God, what is it?
Do you mean she's balmy?
No, you fathead. Concussion. She might have.
Balmy means crazy, mad. Do you think she has gone mad? She's gone crazy?
Sounds far-fetched.
Well, she's far-fetched, if you ask me.
Now then, what is it?
Is she's going to be like this when Dad comes home?
Now then, what is it? I'm staying in for that two front dress circles for the first house.
Mrs. Pearson enters right, carrying a bottle of stout and a half-filled glass. Cyril and Doris try to stop their guffawing and giggling, but they are not quick enough. Mrs. Pearson regards them with contempt.
You two are always talking about being grown up. Why don't you both try for once to be your age?
Can't we laugh now?
Yeah, if it's funny. Go on, tell me, make me laugh. I could do with it.
You never understand our jokes, Mom.
I was yawning at your jokes before you were born, Doris.
Making you talk like this. What have we done?
Nothing, but come in, ask for something, go out again, then come back, and when there's nowhere else to go,
Look, if you don't get tea ready, then I'll find something to eat then.
why not? Help yourself.
Mind you, I think it's a bit thick. I've been working here all day.
Same
Same
here.
here.
8-hour day.
Yes, 8-hour day, and don't forget it.
I've done my 8 hours.
That's different, mom.
Of course it is.
It was. Now it isn't. 40-hour week for all now. Just watch it at the weekend when I have my 2 days off.
Ma'am, I have done with 11 pages of narration, so if Archit wants to continue, he can.
Tisha,
Doris
very
and
well
Cyril
done.
exchange alarmed glances. Then they stare at Mrs. Pearson, who returns their look calmly.
Must grab something to eat. Look, as I'll need to keep my strength up.
Cyril exits to the kitchen.
Mommy, you don't mean you're not going to do anything on Saturday and Sunday?
No, I wouldn't go for that. I might make a bed or two and do a bit of cooking as a favor, which means, of course, I'll have to be asked very nicely and thanked for everything and generally made a fuss of it. But any of you 40-hour weekers who expect to be waited on hand and on foot on Saturday and Sunday with no thanks for it are in for a nasty disappointment. Might go off for the weekend trips.
Go off for the weekend?
Why not? I could do with a change. Stuck here day after day, week after week. If I don't need a change, who else?
But where would you go? Who would you go with?
That's my business. You don't ask me where you should go and you should go with, do you?
That's different.
The only difference is that I'm a lot older and better able to look after myself. So it's you who should do the asking.
Did you fall or hit yourself with something?
No, but I'll hit you with something, girl, if you don't stop asking silly questions.
Oh,
Doris stares at her open mouth and ready to cry.
this is awful.
Stop blubbering. You're not a baby. If you're old enough to go out with Charlie Spence, you're old enough to behave properly. Now stop it.
George Pearson enters left. He's about 50, fundamentally decent but solemn, self-important, pompous. Preferably he should be a heavy, slow-moving type. He notices Doris's tears.
Hello. What's this? Can't anything to cry about.
You see,
Did she say you will see?
Yes,
What did she mean?
better ask her.
Oh, stuff?
Ma'am, where's Archit?
Where's Archit? Beta Tisha, you take over.
Anshit is not there.
It's on page 43, the last part of the narrator.
George looks slowly again at the door, then at Mrs. Pearson. Then he notices the stout that Mrs. Pearson raises for another sip. His eyes almost bulge.
Stout.
Yes,
What are you drinking stout for?
Very cool
because
husband.
I
थोड़ा गुस्सा
fancy it
दिखाओ बेटा.
some.
Your wife is drinking. थोड़ा गुस्सा दिखाओ बेटा. Such a cool man. Stout. What are you drinking? थोड़ा सा शौक तो दिखाओ. Cool man.
What are you
चलो.
drinking stout for?
Very good.
Because I fancied some.
At this time of day?
Yes, what's wrong with it at this time of the day?
Nothing. I suppose, Annie, but I have never seen you do it before.
Well, you're seeing me now.
Yes, and I don't like it. It doesn't look right. I am surprised at you.
Well, that ought to be a nice change for you.
What do you mean?
I must be some time since you were surprised at me, George.
I don't like surprises. I'm all for a study going on. You ought to know that by this time. By the way, I forgot to tell you this morning. I wouldn't want any tea. Special snooker match night at the club tonight, and a bit of supper going on, so no tea.
That's all right. There isn't any.
What do you mean by
You
supper?
may,
Supper, what do you mean?
It's like a small snacks in the evening, like
It's
a
more
small.
of a dinner for them. They have early dinner in the West, and they have it before the sunset. Great. Okay, continue.
you mean you didn't get any ready?
Yes, and a good thing too, as it's turned out.
That's all very well. But suppose I would wanted some.
My goodness, listen to the man. Annoyed because I don't get a tea for him that he doesn't even want. Ever tried that at the club?
Tried what at the club?
Going up to the bar and telling him you want a glass of beer, but you're annoyed because they haven't already poured it. Try it on them and see what you get.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
They'd laugh at you even more than they do now.
Laugh at me? They don't laugh at me.
Of course they do. You ought to have found out that by this time. Anybody else would have done. You're one of their standing jokes. Famous. They call you Pompey Ompy Pearson because they think you're slow and pompous.
Never.
It's always beaten me why you should want to spend so much time at a place where they're always laughing at you behind your back and calling you names, leaving your wife at home night after night instead of going out with her look who doesn't make you look a fool.
Cyril enters right, with a glass of milk in one hand and a thick slice of cake in the other. George, almost dazed, turns to him appealingly.
Here, Cyril, you have been with me to the club once or twice. They don't laugh at me and call me Pompey Ompy Pearson. Do they? Go
Oh,
on, tell
yes,
me.
Dad, I'm afraid they do.
George slowly looks from one to the other, staggered.
Now
Well,
you shouldn't
I'll
have
be.
told him that. Mom, that's not fair. You have hurt his feelings. Mine too.
Mrs. Pearson. Ma'am, Mrs. Pearson has left.
Mrs. Pearson.
Mrs. Pearson,
I'm the narrator.
Okay, yes. Beach mein narrator ka. Please read out, Archit. Tisha,
George
you
exists
both of you be alert.
slowly, almost as if somebody had hit him over the head. Cyril, after watching him go, turns indignantly to Mrs. Pearson.
I shouldn't have told him that, mom. That's not fair. You have hurt feelings mine too.
Sometimes it does people good to have their feelings hurt. The truth oughtn't to hurt anybody for long. If your father didn't go to the club so often, perhaps they'd stop laughing at him.
I
I
doubt it.
doubt it. Poss- Possibly you do. What I doubt is whether your opinion's worth having. What do you sorry, is worth having? What do you know? Nothing. You spend too much time and good money at greyhound races and dirt tracks and ice shows.
Well, what if I do? I've got to enjoy myself somehow, haven't it? Haven't I?
I wouldn't mind so much if you were really enjoying yourself, but are you? And where's it getting you?
Might be for
There's a
me.
sharp,
I'll
hurried
see.
knocking heard off left. Cyril hurries out left. In a moment, he re enters, closing the door behind him.
It's that silly old bag from next door, Mrs. Fitzgerald. You don't want her here, do you?
Certainly I do. Ask her in, and don't call her a silly old bag either. She's a very nice woman with a lot more sense than you'll ever have.
Cyril exits left. Mrs. Pearson finishes her stout, smacking her lips. Cyril re enters left, ushering in Mrs. Fitzgerald, who hesitates in the doorway.
Come in, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
I just wondered if everything's all right.
No, no, it isn't.
Of course it is. You be quiet.
Why should I be quiet?
Because I tell you to, you silly, spoiled young pie can.
Oh no, 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 Shirley, no.
Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald, just let me manage my family in my own way, please.
Yes, but Cyril,
Mr. Cyril Pearson, to you. Please, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
oh dear, what's happening?
Nothing much, just putting him in their right places. That's all. Doing what you ought to have done long since.
Is George home?
Yes, I've been telling him what they think of him at the club.
Well, they think a lot of him, don't they?
No, they don't, and now he knows it.
Oh dear, I wish you hadn't, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Nonsense. Doing them all a world of good, and they'll be eating out of your hands soon. You'll see.
I don't think I want them eating out of my hand.
Well, whatever you want, they'll be doing it. All three of them. Mark my words, Mrs. Pearson.
George enters left glumly. He is unpleasantly surprised when he sees the visitor. He moves to the armchair left, sits down heavily, and glumly lights his pipe. Then he looks from Mrs. Pearson to Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is regarding him anxiously.
Just looked enough for a minute. I suppose, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Well, yes, I suppose so, George.
George,
Oh, I'm sorry.
What does it matter? Your name's George, isn't it? Who do you think you are? Duke of Edinburgh?
what's he got to do with it? Must tell me that. And isn't it bad enough without her calling me George? No tea, Pompey Pearson. And poor Doris has been crying her eyes out upstairs. Yes, crying
Oh
her eyes
dear,
out.
oh dear, I ought to have known.
You ought to have known. Why? Why out? You have to know. Nothing to do with it. With nothing to do with you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, we are at sixes and sevens here just now. So perhaps you will excuse us.
Okay, what do you mean by sixes and sevens? It is sixes and sevens. It is an idiom. Idiom means in Hindi, idiom, IDIOM,
Muhavara.
Muhavara.
muhavra. So it is a muhavra meaning total chaos, total disarray. तो पूरा घर disarray में है. So much of confusion. So that is an idiom. Which what is the idiom?
Muhavra.
Nahin, in this, what was the idiom which we just spoke?
Sixes and sevens.
Sixes and sevens.
Chakka marna, okay? So total disarray, total confusion. Please continue.
I won't excuse you, George Pearson. Next time a friend and neighbor comes to see me, just say something when you see her. Good evening, or how do you do, or something, and don't just march in and sit down without a word. It's bad manners.
No, it's all right.
No, it isn't all right. We'll have some decent manners in this house, or I'll know the reason why. Well,
What?
Narrator, I
what?
suppose.
why don't you get off to your club? Special night tonight, isn't it? They'll be waiting for you, wanting to have a good laugh. Go on then, don't disappoint them.
That's right. Make me look silly in front of her now. Go on. Don't mind me. Sixes and sevens. Poor Doris, been crying her eyes out, getting the neighbors into see the fun. All right,
Suddenly
all
losing
right,
his temper, glaring at Mrs. Pearson and shouting.
all right. Let her hear it. What's the matter with you? Have you gone balmy or what?
If you if you shout at me again like that, George Pearson, I'll slap your big fat silly face.
Oh, no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald, no.
Staring at her bewildered.
Either I am off my chump or you.
Bewildered means bewildered. Shocked, absolutely.
Shocked.
Bewildered. Okay, continue.
Astonished.
Either I am off my chump or you two are. How do you mean? No, no. Please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. So why are you telling yourself to stop when you are not doing anything? Telling her to stop, and then there would be some sense in it. I think must be tiddly.
Say that again, George Pearson.
All right, all right, all right.
Doris enters left slowly, looking miserable. You can continue, Archit. I thought you weren't there.
Doris enters left slowly, looking miserable. She is still wearing the wrap. Mrs. Pearson sits on the settee.
Hello, Doris, dear.
Hello, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight.
What's that to do with you?
Stop that.
No, it's all right.
It isn't all right. I wouldn't have a daughter of mine talking to anybody like that. No, answer Mrs. Fitzgerald properly.
Doris looks wonderingly at her father.
Don't look at me.
Just put your fingers on the roles that you all are playing so you all know where you all are, okay? A pencil or your finger or something, so you all will not get confused. Archit, beta narrator ka part padhte jaiye, otherwise Tisha gets into tension.
Okay, ma'am.
Don't look at
In
me.
despair,
I give up. I just give it up.
fiercely,
Well, answer her.
sulkingly.
I was going out with Charlie Spence tonight, but I've called it off.
Oh, what a pity, dear. Why have you?
With a flash of temper.
Because if you must know, my mother's been going on at me, making me feel miserable, and saying he's got buck teeth and he's half-witted.
Rather
Oh,
bold,
this shouldn't.
Mrs. Pearson.
Oh, you
sharply,
shouldn't have said that.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, I have managed my family. You manage yours.
grimly.
Kicking her off now. Are you, Annie?
Even more grimly.
They're waiting for you at the club, George. Don't forget. And don't you start crying again, Doris.
Getting up with sudden decision.
That's enough. Quite enough.
George and Doris stare at her bewildered. To George and Doris.
Now listen, you two. I want to have a private talk with Miss Pearson. So I'll be obliged if you leave us alone for a few minutes. I'll let you know when we're finished. Go on, please. I promise you. I promise you that you won't regret it. There's something here that only I can deal with.
Rising.
I'm glad somebody can, because I can't come off, Doris.
George and Doris exit left. As they go, Mrs. Fitzgerald moves to left of the small table and sits. She eagerly beckons Mrs. Pearson to do the same thing.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, we must change back now. We really must.
Why?
Rising.
Because this has gone far enough. I can see they're all miserable. And I can't bear it.
A bit more of the same would do him good, making a great difference already.
She moves to the right of the table and sits.
No, just no. I can't stand any more of it. I really can't. We must change back. Hurry up, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Well, if you insist.
Yes, I do. Please, please do it.
She stretches her hands across the table eagerly. Mrs. Pearson takes them.
Arshatam lam Arshatam lambuvna.
They carry out the same action as before, going lax and then coming to life. But this time, of course, they become their proper personalities.
Ah, well, I enjoyed it.
I didn't.
Well, you ought to have done. Now listen, Mrs. Pearson. Don't go soft on them again, else it'll all have been wasted.
I'll try not to.
They have not had as long as I like to have given them. Another hour or two's rough treatment might have made it certain.
I'm sure they'll do better now, though I don't know how I'm doing to explain them.
Severely.
Don't you start explaining them or apologizing, or you're done for.
It's all right for
Spirit.
you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. After all, they aren't your husband and children.
Impressively.
Now you listen to me. You admitted yourself you were spoiling him, and they didn't appreciate you. Any apologies, any explanations, and you'd be straight back where you were. I'm warning you, dear. Just giving him a look, a tone of voice, now and again, to suggest you might be tough with them if you wanted to be, and it ought to work. Anyhow, we can test it.
How?
Well, what is it you'd like him to do that they don't do? Stop at home for once?
Yes, and give me a hand at supper.
Well, uh, anything you like him to do that you enjoy, whether they do or not.
Hesitating.
Well, yes, I like a nice game of rummy, but of course, I hardly ever have one, except at Christmas.
Getting up.
That'll do then.
She moves
But
towards the
remember,
door, the left, then turns.
but remember, keep firm, or you have had it.
She opens the door, calling.
Hoy, you can come in now.
Coming away from the door and moving right slightly, quietly.
But remember, a firm hand.
George,
I'm just,
Doris, and Cyril file in through the doorway, looking apprehensively at Mrs. Pearson.
I'm just off to let you enjoy yourself.
The family look anxiously at Mrs. Pearson, who smiles. Much relieved, they smile back at her. Anxiously,
Yes, mother?
smiling.
Seeing that you don't want to go out, I tell you what I thought we'd do.
Giving a final warning.
Remember,
No
Nodding, then looking
objections.
sharply at the family.
No objections, I hope.
Humbly.
No, mother, whatever you say.
I
Smiling.
thought we'd have a nice family game of rummy and then you children could get the supper ready while I have a talk with your father.
Firmly.
Suits me. Suits me.
He,
What about
he
you?
looked challenging at the children.
What about you two?
Hastily.
Yes, that's all right.
Hesitating.
Well, I.
What?
Sharply.
Speak up.
Hastily.
Oh, I think it would be lovely.
Smiling.
Goodbye, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Come again soon.
yes, dear. Night all. Have a nice time.
Mrs. Fitzgerald exits left and the family cluster around mother as the curtain falls.
Okay. Brilliant. And on Monday, I will be announcing the winner amongst the 3 sections, which class has won. Okay. And all the participants, give me one address, just a token of appreciation. You all will be getting small gifts from my side. The winner of the 3 sections. It is not about the money. It is not about anything else. It will be just something that you all can keep it with you all. And remember, class 11th, Mother's Day. It is for memories. So you all decide, or you all can all give me your addresses, something small, whoever wins the 3 sections. Individually, I would like to tell this particular class, hats off. You all did an amazing job. The way you all went into the minute nuances, the details, that is great. You all really lived up to the characters, the way you all changed the narrator. Cyril, I loved the way he was going out and the attitude. Doris, Mrs. Pearson, both the narrators, Mrs. Fitzgerald, George. I wish all the husbands were so cool. I loved his cool. He remained cool throughout. Karunya, Sukwanch, Nandini, Taiba, could you all kindly just give in one line as the audience? I have given mine.
Ma'am, it was stupendously performed.
So can you clap?
Yeah, of course.
Sure. Thank you. Nandini, can you kindly give in your opinion?
Well
Well performed. Nandini.
I really very enjoyed watching the play. Everybody did such an amazing job.
True, absolutely true. And I'm quite a candid person, and I generally do not compliment for the sake of complimenting. You all know that by now. I have always been up on stage. I am a true dramatist. My husband calls me St. Teresa's School of Drama because I was in St. Teresa's. I loved the way you all lived the role. Sukwanch, your opinion, please. Sukwanch. What do you all call him? Sukhi? Karunya, could you speak in the meantime?
Yes, sure, ma'am. Ma'am, it was a really fantastic play. I was actually surprised that it went this smoothly. Their acting was really nice too.
And I love the props. You all actually took care of that. And you all did study the play before enacting, because you all were going out, coming back, opening the door, putting the coat on the shoulders. This meant you all really took. Yes, Sukwanch, I want your opinion, please. We want your opinion.
It was a good play.
हाय हाय हाय, थोड़ा सा तो इमोशंस डाल दो, ड्रामा रोल प्ले हो रहा है. सुकवंश, इट वाज अ गुड प्ले का क्या मतलब है?
Ma'am,
सुकवंश,
good
आई वांट
play
मोर
means good
इमोशंस इन
play.
योर वॉइस. चलो बोलो.
Ma'am, it was a good play.
Oh, it was a good play. You all should be very grateful. Sukwan sir ने आप लोगों को कहा है it was a good play. So I hope you all will never forget this play ever. Yes?
Yes, ma'am, we wouldn't. It was a
It
really
was,
nice
you know what?
experience.
And the takeaway home points are that we should take a lesson from this play. All the men, young men over here, remember to respect your mothers, your sisters, and later on your wives. There is no gender bias in work. कि किचन में बस औरतें काम करेंगी and the men cannot, not at all. The women, don't let anybody take the young women, don't let anybody take you all for granted. अपनी इज्जत अपने हाथ में. Let's maintain our respect and then work. And this is for now as well as in later. And if all the collaboration with the men and women take place, the world will be a better place. Yes or no? I have recorded this
वो
entire
Einstein वाला
thing.
chapter.
हाँ बेटा सुखवंश बोलिए, I'm so happy. बोलिए बेटा.
Ma'am, will you be doing that Einstein chapter more or not?
थप्पड़ लगाऊंगी अभी.
Ma'am, elastic miss हो गया था.
तो okay now. Oh God, सुखवंश, I love you. ये आइंस्टाइन पर आ गए हैं. Okay, now पूरा मूड रोल प्ले का खराब कर दिया सुखवंश. You don't have to be so serious always. Now listen, when do we have the next class? Tomorrow? Tomorrow we have?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course we have. From 11:40 to 12:20. So Sukhwansh, do attend the class because I will be restarting Einstein, giving you all the entire summary.
Ma'am,
I
your
have
voice is
made
not
the files.
audible.
हाँ बेटा, मैं नहीं audible हूँ. Sukhwansh, can you hear me, darling?
Ma'am, now I can hear.
तुम्हारे नेटवर्क में प्रॉब्लम था, मेरी तो सब आवाज सुन रहे. Now listen. Tomorrow, please attend the class because I will be starting Einstein at school from the beginning again. And I've made the files. I've made all the lessons from the beginning for you all. I'll be sharing that. Don't get so serious in life, Sukhwansh. Let us enjoy life sometimes. So this was a real great experience for all of us. I'll be sharing the Google Drive. But who will send me? One of you send me, then you all can resend each other. Tisha, will you do that, narrator?
Yes, ma'am.
I will share it with you all. In fact, I have to first learn it. I really do not know how to share it on Google Drive. So I'll be taking help for that. I'm honest about it. So the recording, the entire recording, I'll be doing, sending it to you all. But on the social media, we'll have excerpts. We can't have that full more than an hour. Okay? Okay. So keep it for, you can show it later to your children. Class 11th, we did this. Okay? So take care, all of you. Love you all. And thank you so much, each one of you. The ones who missed out, their loss. And Monday, I will be sharing the results because competition is healthy. Okay? Ki con first, con second, con third.
I'm on the group.
On the group, yes. Everybody should know. Okay? And of course, prior to that, Saturday, Sunday, I will be sharing it on the social media. On the banyan tree page also. So you all can all have a look at that. Okay, excerpts of it. Thank you, all of you. Take care. And Mr. Cyril,
Yes,
are you into dramatics? I'm not talking to the girls because girls, so by nature, we are dramatists. Are you into dramatics?
No, ma'am.
Think of it as a career. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the body language was very good. Okay.
Thank you.
So, and the rest of you, amazing, wonderful, great. So shall we end the lesson, class over here? Take care. Enjoy yourself. We meet tomorrow. Sukwansh, Albert Einstein ke saath. Okay. Take care. Love you all. And today, as an honor, I want all of you to leave before I end the lesson.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
It is my respect for you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, children. God bless.
Have
Good
a nice
afternoon.
day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, children. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Beta.